So, in this today's meeting, we're going to discuss about API penetration testing and why it is important and why it is different from like other testings. Okay, so to start with, in the API penetration testing, in this today we're going to discuss the biggest security risk in API testing, APIs, and how this penetration testing can prevent them. And let's meet me. So this is Pavitra, and I am the CEO and the co-founder of Qualysec. So I have almost 7+ of year experience in cybersecurity and penetration testing, and I am too much excited today to discuss about this crucial topic about API penetration testing. By the way, I have a little cold, so not might give my 100%, but I'll try. Okay, let's begin. So, starting with, we'll discuss some of the numbers and why API penetration testing is important. So, it's some data like from November 2021 to May 2022. So, there has been like 31 breaches happen due to API security, 31 major breaches like on top companies. And on 2022 itself, a company have breaches of 49 million record of user details like user mail ID, credentials, everything. And on an average, the breach size is 6.1 million user data. Each time if there is any API breaches happen, there is 6.1 like million data got breaches. And if I talk about the losses that estimated loss because of the API breaches is like 31 billion, and it is a old data. Right now in 2024 where we are standing, so it's more than like 50 billion of uh, USD got lost because of this API security. And the very simple things here is that in those breaches, 5 breaches are in those 31 major breaches, 5 breaches are due to just public exploit. Like, no, even the team of like development team in APIs don't care about the security, so that even there is a public exploit available, they don't just patch it or they don't just upgrade it, right? And here is the industry that is affected due to APIs is like the list is education industry, then there will be government industry with like 11.4%, and then there is healthcare industry like which is second highest, having 23.7% of data breaches in healthcare industry. And then there will be technologies industry where the measure like 63.5 data breach percentage of data breaches happen due to these APIs. So the meaning of this graph is uh, the technology is the more like people are pushing toward the technology industry, those SaaS company, those AI based company, and they have definitely some APIs right in backend, and those things they are not properly secured. That's why this technology industry are hampering much. Moving ahead to the agenda and to the start to the assessment, start to the API penetration testing. So what is exactly the API penetration testing means? So the API penetration testing is a cybersecurity exercise that is conducted by simulating real attacks on the API to identify vulnerability. Means we're going to attack on the API just like a hacker and try to exploit different vulnerabilities. And different penetration tester use different tools as well as manual techniques to detect and prioritize many vulnerabilities. There are a lot of open source tools available, there are a lot of commercial tools available, but most importantly for APIs it's uh, right now with my personal opinion it is better if you do manual testing on it, so that we can found lot more issue. Because nowadays tools are not sufficient, they just are like preloaded scripts. They treated any every API as similar and just give lot of false positive information. That's why manual technique is very much superior. And if I talk about the main goal to perform API penetration testing are discover and fix security issues. Why actually people need API penetration testing. It is because discover and fix security issues, then comply with different industry regulation like SOC 2, GDPR, HIPAA, PCI DSS. That time also they need API penetration testing, and then to secure the communication channel between softwares, like to secure those communication APIs is what those just the communication between different softwares from backend to front end, right? So to secure this communication, people also want to conduct the API penetration testing. Moving ahead, like how API penetration testing is different from other. This is a very interesting topic. Like people usually confuse, like, okay, I have a web application, and if I conduct a penetration testing on my web application itself, my whole infrastructure is secure. No, if you are using API, it's need a separate effort. It's need a separate API penetration testing approach. There are different company who provide, okay, in web application they also integrate the APIs and they provide API testings. But there are like a lot of company who do only web app and testing, and they just ignore APIs, which is running behind the backend, and 80 to 90% of the major functionality flow are through these backend APIs. So, so what are the differences? So I have highlighted here two things. One is the aspect, and then we'll compare this API with a web app, so that we'll understand, okay, how and why the API penetration testing is different than just a web app testing, a traditional testing. So if we focus on the aspect first, is the focus, right? So where we do focus in APIs, it is we're going to focus on interface, data exchange between the system. But in web application, the focus is towards web pages and functionality, right? And then there will be methodology. The API testing have different methodology. For example, a common methodology is OAuth's top 10 API vulnerabilities, where there will be a lot of authentication and authorization issue comes under. And for web application, there is OAuth's top 10 web app vulnerability, where there is XSS, CSR vulnerability there we can found. And here one more thing I would like to highlight, those web app vulnerability may not equal to the API vulnerability. There is different vulnerability we found in APIs, and there is something different vulnerability we can found in web app which is not present in APIs. So those are two different things. Although 60 to 70% of issue are similar, but not everything. If I talk about the tools, so for API, we like usually use different tools like Postman, SOAP UI, Bob Suite. But for web application, we use scanners tools like NetSpark, Jap, Bob Suite, Intruder, like this. And if I talk about the attack surface, like where we're going to attack, right? And which is our target points. So in APIs, the target is the endpoints, the headers, the parameter, and API schemes. And in web app, the like our target will be on the URLs, form, cookies, server configuration, those things. And moving on to the challenges, like what actually the different challenges in APIs is, in APIs handling various data format and authentication method is very different and very challenging, because if you guys use a Postman, so to authenticate a APIs there is different token you have to utilize, and those things is little bit challenging rather than a web app. And in web app, there is different challenges like dealing with complex client-side interaction, manipulation, those things comes into the picture. And security consideration, what we do like consider in the securities, like mostly focus on the APIs keys, tokens, rate limiting. And in web app, we'll mostly focus on the testing on session management, input validation, how the application handling the inputs, authentication kind of things. And the major part, like what is the prerequisite, what we need to conduct a API testing, because in a web app it is need only URL and credential. If it is a black box, only web app is needed. If it is a gray box, web app with credential will be needed. But in API testing it will be completely different. We need the Postman collection where let's say 300 400 API collection are there. Okay, we need maybe JSON collection, we may need the token, where we can use for the authentication purpose. So these are the challenges and these are the difference between just a normal traditional web app pen testing and a API pen testing. So whenever people say, okay, we have done a web API pen testing, we have done a web app pen testing, it is not equal to API pen testing. They have to conduct a different API pen testing on it. And if I talk about the biggest security risk in APIs, like what are the top four security risks is most commonly found in APIs, starting with authentication issue. In APIs, with my experience, with that whatever the 100 or 100 plus more the APIs that we have secured, each and every project we found authentication issue. This is very common nowadays. And how these authentication issues occur, like how we can bypass the login or login functionality or login request. So most of time if we just force browse it, we got login. Sometimes people even don't validate their token, those JW token or any token they are using, so they don't validate it. So we found lot more issue in authentication issues. In authentication, I believe there are more than 30 to 40 different issue, like we're looking for in APIs. And the second is the authorization issue, like how it is got authorized, like how we can do those privilege escalation, how someone having some user name Ram can access to a details of Sam, or can gather every like functionality. Okay, so in authorization, it's just a diagram where I can show you, like it is a if you can see in the first line where this, okay, this request content the user ID in the get URL. Assume it start with API slash user ID slash 20905, and this request we send to the API server, and the server response, okay, this user ID is allocated to John. This 20905 user ID is allocated to John, and we can see the details of John here. But what if we change the user ID? Because in API, people thought, okay, no one will capture our API request because this is backend and the front end, the web pages or mobile pages in the front end. So no one will going to capture our APIs. But if we use certain proxy tool like Bob Suite, you can easily capture those backend APIs and you can play with it. And like thousands of applications are vulnerable to this IDER issue. It's actually called IDER, this issue. And here we just have to change the user ID, like from 20905 to 20804. Then there will be the request sent to the APIs. The APIs didn't like validate the user session or token, and what they'll show, okay, the user ID of 20804 is allocated to Bob, so it will show you the information of Bob. So you can see just changing the number, we can take over anyone's user information, their name, mail ID, date of birth, sensitive information, if there is any card, like credit card number or social security number, we can achieve it by just changing the numbers if the application having such kind of authorization issues. Similarly, the like privilege escalation also happened. Like sometimes what the people do, just put the user ID 20905 and we change to, let's say, 001, and that 001 user ID is assigned to a admin, and we can configure, we can change, delete or modify some data, then that will be a vertical privilege escalation issue you will wanna find. So this authorization issue also very common in API. Moving ahead, this rate limiting, this is also very frequent issue. Like uh, uh, I don't know why people don't consider this as a very severe, but it is affected all any application, any APIs. It's basically if we do excessive uh, login attempt or excessive brute force DOS, those time we attack the API endpoints, not the whole app. If we just attack one API endpoint, we can easily like got thousands of requests and the application didn't block us, right? So this rate limiting also very common. And this mass assignment, it is a very unique issue. and I don't say it will be common issue, but it is a very critical and very powerful issue. I'll show you how. In this image you can see, we right now just focus on this part. Okay, so a attacker put the name Alex, their password, whatever they said, and it sent the API request to the server. Server response, okay, the username is Alex, the password is whatever in hash format, and the privilege is user. Okay, then it sent, and we get the response. Okay, you are logged in. At that same time, if we know, okay, the privilege here is the user, right? If we put those things in the request itself, like we put the username as Alex, we put the correct password, and we add a parameter here, that is privilege is equal to admin. So in backend API, what API will got that, okay, the username password is correct, which is from Alex, and the privilege is admin. So it will going to like treated us as a admin, and we can do like we can use the API as a admin privilege. So in this way, there is a normal user can achieve the admin access and easily download all the sensitive information, delete, modify everything, right? So this way we can escalate user activities. This is mass assignment, and this kind of issue you will never found in a web app or a mobile app. This kind of issue is only found in the APIs. If there is an API request passes through the web app or mobile app, we capture it and we change it, and we find this mass assignment issue where we can take over a admin account. Okay, so these are few common vulnerabilities that I have shared. Moving forward, it's a very interesting topic, is like how this security API security issue are affecting the real world application and companies. So starting with X. So right now, so earlier it was Twitter, right? After Elon Musk buy this, so he rename it to X, right? So in December 2021, perhaps most of the news channel like hide this news, right? But in December 2021, some hacker exploit the Twitter API and access 5.4 million users data, their name, mobile number, email address, right? Nowadays you see like, okay, how the hacker got my number, how they know my name, how they know my mail ID, right? This is very simple. You created an account in Twitter, the Twitter user data got breached, right? The hacker got all the list and they will try your email ID, name and combination, will try to exploit your email ID. They try to like do some phishing attack on you, right? Similarly, there is another company, like in January 2022, the hacker publicly exploited 1.8 million records of Texas Department of Insurance, and through a API vulnerabilities. And what they expose the people's social security number, address, date of birth, phone number, information about people's injuries, like when they have such disease, how which hospital they goes, right? About all the insurance details. With these details, anyone can exploit anybody, right? Those details are publicly as available at that time in a dark web. And there is a one familiar name, and right now I believe that company is no more exist. I might be wrong, but I am not hearing this company name nowadays, but it is very popular in 2018 and 19. The company name is Just Dial. I hope you know, like Just Dial is a company, like it's a Indian search engine for social market. I have also used Just Dial in my past. So a attacker it's having some API issue in the Just Dial. Just Dial people think, okay, we have secured our application, we have secured our mobile application, cloud infrastructure, everything, and we are secure, right? Hacker are more smarter. They know that every people they just want to secure their front, not the back. So the hackers just exploit API endpoints and able to access and expose over 100 million users data. I believe in that data, my data also got exposed. And after that, they what they actually breach, they reveal the email, name, phone number, birth date, professionals, and photo. everything what we require to create a bank account, everything what we require to create a fake ID of us, right? Everything got breached. And after that, due to this breach, there are plenty of penalties putting on just dial. And nowadays these companies like nowhere in the market, right? Because of a simple issue or because of a simple API issue. So you can see these simple vulnerability have a very huge impact. Like it is can impact the business, it is impact on the financial, it will impact on the statutory, right? So this API is very as much as important as a normal application penetration testing. Moving ahead, like what Qualysec does in API penetration testing. So as you know, like we are a pure penetration testing company, and in penetration testing there are several branches we have, and one is the API penetration testing. In API penetration testing, we check for weak spot. Like we're going to check the vulnerability. Like each and every endpoint we capture, we play around with, we modify the request and check okay whether this particular endpoint is insecure or not. And then we also test for the latest threat, because cyber threat are constantly evolving. Every day new vulnerability arise, right? So we also make sure that we match the race, right? And we also going to test the latest threats. There is a hybrid testing approach we have, like uh, we use both automation and manual. We are not solely dependent on automation, because till now personally I don't feel automation tools are very much powerful to find all the issue. That's why in manual we may found 20, 15, 20, 25 issue, but if we just scan in an automation tool, it just shows 2, 3 issue. So the automation is not still in the best format. In the future might be due to AI's scenario got changed, but not right now. So those hybrid approach, like we combine both automation tool and manual techniques to give our customer a better comprehensive testing services. And at the end we do provide a detailed report. It's very comprehensive report. And this report is included every issue what we found in a APIs. We do provide the name of the issue, we do provide okay what is the severity, likelihood and impact of the issue. Then we do provide the like description of the issue, so that your development team can easily understand what is the meaning of this issue. Then consequence means what is the impact of the issue on your on your APIs. Then we do provide like in which parameter we found this issue and in which endpoint we found this issue, so that we know what is the root cause. And then from opening your API in a postman to exploit the issue or to take over someone account, to take over your database, what the steps we follow, what the script we put, everything with screenshot we mention in our report. And then the remediation support we do provide for the development team, whoever is fixing that issue. So we're going to provide them the help that how they can fix this issue. And we'll do the retest, so that we'll make sure that your API is perfectly secure. And we do in the retest also, we'll check okay whether there is any new issue arise by just fixing those vulnerability or not. So in this way, from finding a issue to help you fixing it until we retest okay it's actually secure, we're actually helping everything. And in this way at the end we do provide letter of attestation, so that our client got actually very much result from that letter of attestation, that they're going to show to the compliances body, show to their client and partners. And moving ahead, there are few case studies that I like to show, starting with a telecommunication company from Europe. Like it's a top telecommunication company. They have around 350 APIs that we have like tested, and they want to perform the test because they are going for SOC 2. And then we conducted deep penetration testing. We found lot of issue. We found account takeover also there, like from a telecommunication company. And at the end, we provide a detailed report, retest. We do also provide the letter of attestation, and the client used our letter of attestation to achieve SOC 2 compliance. Similarly, there is another case study, a leading fintech company in USA. and they have we have conducted multiple like their web app APIs, mobile app infrastructure, everything we have conducted. And in the APIs they have around 500 600 APIs that they need to test, and we perform a penetration test on that APIs, and we found around 17 issue, including 4 critical and 3 high. And at the end we provide the report, we help them in fixing. And the reason that the client is going for a enterprise to partner with them, right? So they successfully got that client, and they are also rigorously doing the different penetration testing with Qualysec. So this is all about like starting from what is APIs to API pen testing, difference between common API pen testing with how Qualysec actually doing it. So everything is there. So whatever we discuss. So that's all about our like API penetration testing webinar. So thank you for your attention, and uh, like uh, thank you very much. And if you have any questions, please do shoot in the uh, chat box. So I like to uh, I believe we have only less than 5 minutes. So okay, let's shoot some question if you have. Let me check. Okay, so there is, okay, this is amazing information. Is this recorded and will be shared? Yes. So Sam, it's actually recorded, and we'll share this information, I believe, over YouTube, and you may find within 2 3 days. And okay, what is the difference between SOAP and REST API? Excellent question. So APIs are very different. There are different APIs. Like there are SOAP API, there are REST API, there are GraphQL APIs. Okay, so it's not that every API is also similar. So it's depend, like the REST API we can open in a Postman collection. The SOAP API we can open it in a SOAP UI. But the testing time is quite similar, 80 90% similar, and the rest are different. Okay, how big are your clients? So we have Fortune 100 to startup. So in between everyone, like there are around right now we have 130 plus clients, and from Fortune 100 to uh, like startups. Okay, so okay, how much time it's take to conduct API penetration testing? To conduct API penetration testing, it's usually take around 10 to 15 days. It's depend upon how many API endpoints do you have. It's depend upon how many like how complex your authentication part is, right? So it's depend, but it's usually take 10 to 12 days for the testing, then 2 to 3 days for your testing. Is API penetration testing is suitable for all type of APIs? uh, I don't know what you are asking. Is API penetration testing suitable for all type of APIs? uh, yes, probably. Okay, so uh, is the same test done in SOAP? No, SOAP 80% of testing is similar, but not everything. Okay, how do you ensure the testing does not interrupt my API service? Very good, excellent question. We have a policy in our company that will test the API in such a way that even your user don't understand, okay, whether there is any attacks is going on or not. We do it as a hacker. We jump into the API, we test it. Since we use manual techniques most, so our like we are not disturb your server, we are not disturb your business logic, and we ensure that during the testing we uh, like don't break your application or don't break the logic. So those things we take care of it. Okay, does API testing need to be conducted every year? It's depend. Yes, every year is a minimum. If you are going for any SOC 2 compliances or anything, you have to conduct this API testing in every quarter. But if you rigorously change, there is a plan like you have to do one-time penetration testing in a year and do the VS scan every quarter. So it will be very cost effective and like efficient. And what should I provide for the testing process? Okay, to start the testing process, so it's usually we need the API packages, collections, postman collection, those postman collections, and token, that how we can log in if there is any different user roles. So you can connect to our team so to have a better idea. Okay, okay. So I believe uh, we have crossed the time limit. So okay, what to prefer, black or gray box? For APIs, I will prefer gray box, because at the end you will going to provide the API collection, right? So gray box is needed, not black box. Black box means you don't share any API request. We'll going to capture it. We'll going to test it in the APIs. Okay, so that's all about the question and session. It's a very interesting. I love that a lot of people ask question, listening like carefully, and it's a like very good session. And I believe my cold also got relieved. Okay, then have a great day. Have a great night. Okay, bye bye.